Every now and then in your life, you meet people whom you find something in common with. In this case, I'm going to tell you the story of me and my dad because we found a lot of things to connect over, and a lot of those things were movies. As a kid, we saw a few of them, and those were the things that we went to, those emotional markers. Top Gun is one of those movies. My dad was in the Navy, so it sort of became a religion in the household, and we watched the movie quite a bit, listened to the soundtrack a lot, and even though it's not exactly an in-depth character piece of a movie, it's a movie that we constantly went back to because it's just got a bunch of really cool flight sequences that were really awesome to behold. And so it's not a far cry to suggest that Top Gun Maverick was a movie that I was excited for almost half my life for. I couldn't wait to see this movie, and when it was actually like given the green light and the first trailer dropped, it was super exciting. That time was really, really fun. Obviously, taking place a long time after the events of that first movie, Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell, played once again by Tom Cruise, he seems to be in the same spot as he was before. He's still a captain. He seems to be dodging any kinds of promotions. However, it's come to a point where he either needs to get with the program and essentially move on to the next thing, which could just mean something like a desk job or something like that, or he is going to completely become obsolete, and that age of being hotshot rookie pilots like he is, that's going to end. And so Top Gun suddenly comes a knocking and says, hey, there's a mission that's about to be carried out with a bunch of new Top Gun recruits, and essentially we need you to train them. And if you can pull this off, you seem to be the only person who could probably pull this off. Essentially, this makes Maverick two different movies. You get a legacy piece in here about the character himself, how far he's come, what exactly this entire journey has meant, and the connections he's made along the way. And you also get a movie that is about carrying out this mission and includes a bunch of crazy flight sequences that are going to make your jaw drop. Now, the first movie excels at the latter quite a bit, but like I mentioned, it's not the best in terms of character or emotional depth. It's not like you're going to that movie because you want to see the heartfelt story of a friendship between Goose and Maverick. You want to see a bunch of crazy stuff happen with planes, like an inverted 4G dive. So that's essentially what you get with that first movie. But kudos to Maverick for pulling off a movie that manages to be both things. It manages to be a movie that is at once a heartfelt and emotional legacy sequel for Maverick himself, and also all of those flight sequences that you want to see. They are very much your money's worth. And technology has come a long way in order to pull off those scenes. So when you see those happen, all of them pretty much done practically. Yeah, some CGI here and there. But it's amazing to see the scale of these scenes brought to life. Kaczynski is a fantastic director in my opinion. He's very underrated. And every time I've seen him handle spectacle, I've never been disappointed, whether it be something like Tron Legacy or Oblivion or Only the Brave. This man understands the cinematic experience. He can create something just huge on the screen. And Top Gun Maverick is absolutely not an exception. This is the best he's ever been, and he absolutely delivers. He fires on all cylinders. This is a fantastic visual and audio experience, and if you don't see this in a premium format theater, then I think you're going to seriously miss out on a few things. See this on the biggest, loudest screen that you can possibly find. But like I said, the movie is also a legacy piece in terms of its character, and I feel like the movie succeeds here quite a bit because it makes you care about Maverick more than you've ever cared before. And you see a lot of different things from the movie before also come into play as a result of it. For instance, he runs into characters who some have been referenced, some you've known from the first movie, they show up again, and you can see how much time has transformed them. And how, as a result of that, Maverick is sort of looking back on certain things and being like, hey, maybe this could have gone differently. Maybe that could have gone differently. Or trying to get a second chance at making those things work again. And as a result of that, he also runs into people who are related to people he knew before. I'm not gonna go too much into spoilers, but as you know, Miles Teller plays Goose's son, and that connection that's established between them, that rift that they're having, obviously because of what happened in that first movie, is really well documented. It leads to an emotional center point in the movie that is really affecting, and it is praise to be given to the two actors who have done a really good job of bringing that to life. But I want to give special praise to Tom Cruise because this performance is above and beyond that first movie. This is one of his best, in fact, and so in terms of characters, It's a lot more grounded than I was expecting. That was actually one of the things that surprised me while I was watching it, how much it delved into these characters and the emotional resonance of it, because it just was so absent in that first movie. And I think going into this one, my expectations were sort of like, hey, it'll probably have the same thing, right? I was surprised then while watching it just how much I was like, wow, this is a lot deeper than I expected. But that is to be, again, praise given. And Cruz is really, really good in the movie, and he brings those emotions to life like phenomenally. And the stuff that he's doing when it comes to the flight sequences, however much of that was him in the cockpit, I mean, you just have to give praise to the fact that this is an actor who is willing to do anything and everything for your entertainment. And as a movie star, as one of the last like movie stars of that caliber, I can't help but applaud every time he pulls off something like this. Everybody in the supporting cast is also really great, whether it's Miles Teller, Glenn Powell, Monica Barbaro, Jennifer Connelly. Everybody does a really, really great job. I don't want to talk too much about Jennifer Connelly's character, though, because there is something to her character that's really, really interesting. And if you've seen the first movie, once you get that sort of realization, it's really, really awesome. And she's really good in the film, though. The relationship that is established between her and Maverick is also really affecting and very human. It actually feels like an authentic relationship that you're seeing play out. It feels very sweet at times. Like it is definitely got that factor to it. And both of them have very good chemistry on screen. And that extends to the rest of the people as well, because like I said, life or death mission. They are in a situation where they have to, survive. And so you want to care for these people. You want to make sure when they're in that mission, they get out safely. And that means doing characterization for them that makes you care about them. And there's definitely a lot of that in this movie. There's lots of character beats and moments that they give you, essentially, connecting you to them. And so as the movie progresses, you find yourself caring for all of them, their faults and all. I'm not going to go into spoilers as to what I mean by that. But essentially, by the end of the movie, you're rooting for them in this entire situation. And that's, again, praise to be given. The soundtrack you've heard things from, so I don't know if I have to go too much into that, but there are a lot of things reused from that first movie. You'll hear a lot of needle drops again, which is going to satisfy a lot of fans. You guys have heard the Lady Gaga song, which has been online for about a week now, and it's a great ballad to end the movie on. And, I mean, I don't have to give too much more praise to that. It's really, really well done. It has a score by Hans Zimmer and Harold Faltermeyer that's also really great. Now, I should mention, like I said in my reaction video, I saw this a while ago, and so there's a good chance that they may have done a little more stuff in terms of the score, but from what I heard, it's damn good. Like, they've done a really good job. That's all I'm gonna say about that. In being a legacy sequel of sorts, there are times where it does a lot of things similar to the first movie, and you'll see a lot of parallels made as a result of it. And that's to be expected. It does do a lot of great things with those parallels. Lots of scenes feel a lot similar to that first movie. You'll see certain moments that are very much like that first movie. Like there's another volleyball scene in it. But it sometimes works as a bit of a con as well. Like this is maybe my only issue with the movie, in that the story structuring sometimes feels a little similar to the first movie. Now I know what you're thinking. The poster behind me of this movie also has a lot of that, right? It's not quite like that, and in a lot of ways they're both doing their own things in terms of carry forwarding things you've already seen before. But like there's a couple of scenes which will play out a certain way and you'll think, in the next one, like in the previous movie, here's what happened after. And in this one, there's somewhat of a similar situation where a scene will happen and you're like, oh, right, okay, that follows the first one sort of similarly. And so sometimes I feel like the structuring of it feels a bit too familiar. Yeah, it's got some cheesy moments here and there, some 80s stuff, which is to be expected. Yeah, it gets a little schmaltzy at times, but it's fine. It's to be expected. Really, like I said, my only issue is that sometimes it felt a little too familiar to the first movie. It sort of relied on that structure, but that was just one little thing. Overall, it doesn't take away from the fact that Top Gun Maverick is a spectacle. It's a lot of fun. It's an absolute blast to watch. I couldn't recommend it higher if I wanted to. See this on the biggest, loudest screen you can find. I swear. Go IMAX. Go Dolby. Do not skimp out on this. This is worth your money and your time. And if you like the first movie, you're going to love this one even more. And if you didn't like the first movie, you're going to like this movie. I mean, there is no loss here. Top Gun Maverick is one of the best legacy sequels made so far to date. It is fantastic stuff. And it is an absolute spectacle to behold. It's an emotional and really well done character piece as well. Cruise has honestly, he's done a great job here. I can't be happier with this movie. I couldn't wait to see it again after it was done. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again soon. But most importantly, I saw this alone. I'm hoping to see it with my dad very soon because I'm hoping that he enjoys it, and I want to do the same for him with this movie that he did with me for the first movie. And the thought of that is just very special. I'm gonna give Top Gun Maverick a 9.5 out of 10. Frankly, those little things that I mentioned are gonna be so inconsequential even by second viewing. I feel like by that time it'll just be a straight up 10. And on an enjoyment scale, it honestly is a 10. The only thing that I feel like comes up is like that little film nerdy analysis thing of yours. It's like if you let that play up, then you'll notice it. But it's very inconsequential. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this is still one of the best movies of the year so far. And that's the real victory at the end of the day, isn't it? God, it feels good to finally have this out there. I have been waiting so long to talk to you guys about this movie. It feels super cathartic to finally have this review out. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the movie. It's out May 27th in theaters, and it's going to be a blast. I hope you guys love it as much as I did. If you have seen the movie, though, because there have been some early screenings, what are your thoughts on it? Leave them in the comments below. Let me know. As always, if you like this, guys, please do subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. And go Mach 2 with your hair on fire, right?